How are you guys doing? Today is Sunday, April 10th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review yesterday's Elite matchups and performances from Saturday, April 9th, 2022. I'm also going to preview everything that's going on today as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time, taking a quick step back and looking at where we are in the calendar year. We are at the end of the NBA 2021-22 regular season, as every single team will play their last game today. Not to mention that we are also in the beginning of the MLB season, as teams are still in the very first series of their MLB seasons. Not to mention that with soccer we are in the middle of a weekend that is closer towards the end of the year. So, of course, these games are still mattering more and more as the season creeps towards the end. With that said, I'm going to get started with the NBA, with some teams that played their penultimate games of the season. Starting off in Philadelphia, the 76ers would go on to host the Indiana Pacers. The Philadelphia 76ers would beat the Indiana Pacers 133-120. They won this game by 13 after they outscored the Pacers by 14 points in the first quarter alone. On the losing end of this matchup, the Indiana Pacers were led in scoring by their starting small forward, Oshae Brissett. He finished with 20 points and 7 rebounds in 29 minutes. He shot 6 for 10 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3 as well. And on the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Philadelphia 76ers were led in scoring by their elite starting center out of Kansas, Joel Embiid. The MVP candidate would finish with 41 points, 20 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 5 turnovers in 37 minutes. Embiid shot 14 for 17 from the field. He made both of his three-pointers on the day. He shot 11 for 15 from the foul line. The Sixers' elite starting shooting guard and former NBA MVP, James Harden, finished with 22 points, 4 rebounds, 14 assists, and 5 turnovers in 39 minutes. Harden shot 7 for 16 from the field, 2 for 9 from 3, and he made all 6 of his free throws. With this win, the Philadelphia 76ers are 50-31. They are currently tied with the Boston Celtics for the third best record in the East, as the Sixers have won 6 of their last 10 games. In the Eastern Conference playoff picture, they are sitting 1 game behind the second place defending champs Milwaukee Bucks. They are also sitting 2 games ahead of the 5th place Toronto Raptors. So the Sixers seed at this moment isn't set right now, but they are for sure going into the playoffs with or at least they're going to host their first matchup in the playoff round. And at the moment, they are trailing the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat by 3 games at the moment. With this loss, the Indiana Pacers are 25-56. That is the 3rd worst record in the Eastern Conference. They have now lost 9 games. That is the longest active losing streak in the Eastern Conference. The Portland Trailblazers are the only team with a longer active losing streak than the Pacers right now. The Pacers have lost 9 of their last 10 because that's how a 9-game losing streak works. They are currently sitting 17 games behind the 10th place Charlotte Hornets outside of the Eastern Conference play-in picture, as they have 1 game left in their schedule. And with 1 game left, they are one of 5 teams in the Eastern Conference that have failed to qualify for the playoffs this year, as they sit alongside the Orlando Magic, the Detroit Pistons, the Washington Wizards, and the New York Knicks as teams with 1 more game left in the season before it's all over. With this, or I guess with that, taking a look at what happened in Memphis, the Memphis Grizzlies hosted the New Orleans Pelicans. The Grizzlies would beat the Pelicans 141-114. They would win this game by 27 after they outscored New Orleans by 12 in the first quarter. They were up by 17 at halftime before they outscored the Pelicans by 22 in the third quarter. They would score 55 points in the third quarter in order to put up this really big win. On the losing end of this matchup, the New Orleans Pelicans were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard from the Trailblazers, CJ McCollum. He finished with 16 points in 29 minutes. He shot 6 for 17 from the field. Off the bench, their center, Willie Hernan Gomez, finished with 15 points and 10 rebounds in 34 minutes. He shot 5 for 11 from the field and 5 for 7 from the free throw line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Memphis Grizzlies were led in scoring by their starting small forward Dillon Brooks. Brooks finished with 23 points and 5 assists in 24 minutes. He shot 9 for 16 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and he made both of his free throws. The Grizzlies' elite starting point guard, Ja Morant, finished with 21 points, 4 rebounds, and 9 assists in 27 minutes. Morant shot 7 for 14 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and he shot 5 for 7 from the foul line. Their power forward off the bench, Brandon Clark out of Gonzaga, finished with 20 points and 5 rebounds in 18 minutes. He shot a perfect 10 for 10 from the field. And with this win, the Memphis Grizzlies are now 56-25. That is the second best record in the Western Conference. They've won 8 of their last 10 games. They are currently sitting 4 games behind the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns. And with 1 game left in their schedule, they are sitting 4 games ahead of the third place Golden State Warriors. They are going into the playoffs for sure with the second overall seed, as they will face off against the winner of that first play-in matchup. But that is where the Grizzlies are sitting with 1 game left in their schedule, and that last game should be at home. With this loss, the New Orleans Pelicans are 36-45. That is the 9th best record in the Western Conference, as they've only lost 4 of their last 10. With 1 game left in their schedule, they are sitting 5 games behind the 8th place Los Angeles Clippers, and they are sitting 2 games ahead of the 10th place San Antonio Spurs. So they are going into the play-in with the 9th overall seed, as they have 1 more game left in their schedule. That last game should be at home in New Orleans. Taking a look at what happened with the San Antonio Spurs, the San Antonio Spurs would host the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors would beat the Spurs 100-94. They won this game by 6 after outscoring the Spurs by 8, as they were up by 10 at the half. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Spurs were led in scoring by their shooting guard off the bench, Lonnie Walker IV. He finished with 24 points and 5 rebounds in 27 minutes. He shot 8 for 15 from the field, and he made all 6 of his free throws. On the winning end of this matchup, the Golden State Warriors were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard, Jordan Poole. He finished with 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 8 assists in 34 minutes. He shot 3 for 19 from the field and made all 11 of his free throws. Their power forward off the bench, Jonathan Kuminga, finished with 18 points and 2 steals in 22 minutes. He shot 6 for 8 from the field. He made both of his threes, and he made all 4 of his free throws. There's the Warriors' all-star starting small forward, the former number 1 overall pick out of Kansas, Andrew Wiggins, finished with 15 points and 2 rebounds in 35 minutes. He shot 5 for 13 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3, and 3 for 8 from the foul line. The Warriors' all-star starting power forward and multiple-time champion, Draymond Green, finished with 12 points, 13 rebounds, and 8 assists in 32 minutes, as he shot 6 for 10 from the field. With this win, the Golden State Warriors are now 52-29. That is the 3rd best record in the Western Conference, as they've now won their last 4 games. Their 4-game winning streak is tied with the Los Angeles Clippers for the longest active winning streak in the Western Conference. And the Miami Heat have a longer winning streak in the NBA. The Warriors have won 5 of their last 10, and with 1 game left in their schedule, they sit 1 game ahead of the 4th place Dallas Mavericks, so they can still possibly drop to 4th, maybe, but they are sitting 4 games behind the 2nd place Memphis Grizzlies. They can't jump any higher. At this moment, they are trailing the Phoenix Suns by 12 games in the season. With this loss, the San Antonio Spurs are 34-47. That is the 10th best record in the Western Conference. They have now lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 3 of their last 10. With 1 game left in their schedule, they are sitting 2 games behind the 9th place New Orleans Pelicans, and they are sitting 2 games ahead of the Los Angeles Lakers, the first team on the outside of the picture looking in. So the Spurs are going into this play-in round with the 10 seed, as it looks like they will play their first play-in game against the New Orleans Pelicans. And of course, right now they are trailing the conference leading Phoenix Suns by 30 games at the very bottom of the play-in picture. Taking a look, last but not least, at what's happening in Los Angeles, the Clippers were able to beat the Kings 117-98 to clinch not having a losing record for the year. They would win this game 117-98 to win this game by 19 after they outscored the Kings by 15 in the first quarter alone. On the losing end of this matchup, the Kings were led in scoring by their rookie starting point guard out of Baylor, Davion Mitchell. The former collegiate champ finished with 22 points and 7 assists in 38 minutes. He shot 10 for 18 from the field and made both of his free throws. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown LA Clippers were led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard, Paul George. George finished with 23 points, 8 rebounds, 12 assists, and 2 steals in 34 minutes. He shot 8 for 14 from the field, 6 for 9 from 3 as he made one of his 2 free throws. Their small forward off the bench, Norman Powell, finished with 20 points in 22 minutes. He shot 6 for 11 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the free throw line. Their starting center, Ivica Zubac, finished with 15 points and 12 rebounds in 25 minutes. He shot 7 for 11 from the field and 1 for 2 from the free throw line. With this win, the Los Angeles Clippers are now 41-40. That is the 8th best record in the Western Conference. They've now won their last 4 games. That is the longest active winning streak in the West, as they are tied with the Warriors. They have won 5 of their last 10 games, just like the Warriors. And right now, in the Western Conference play-in picture, they are sitting 5 games behind the 7th place Minnesota Timberwolves. They are sitting 5 games ahead of the 9th place New Orleans Pelicans. So they are going into the play-in round with the 8th seed. At this moment, they are trailing the Phoenix Suns by 23 games in the conference. And with this loss, the Sacramento Kings are 29-52. That is the 4th worst record in the Western Conference, as they've now lost their last 3 games, and they've lost 6 of their last 10. They are currently sitting 5 games behind the 10th place San Antonio Spurs outside of the play-in picture, as the Kings have 1 more game left in their schedule. They're one of 5 teams in the Western Conference that have been eliminated from playoff contention. They sit alongside the Houston Rockets, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Portland Trail Blazers, and the Los Angeles Lakers, as the Kings only have 1 more game left in their schedule before they have to pack it up for the offseason. So that is what the NBA is looking like as we go into the last matchups of the NBA season today. Starting off at 3:30, super early in the afternoon. The very first primetime matchup will see the Brooklyn Nets host the Indiana Pacers. The Brooklyn Nets enter this matchup holding the 7th best record in the Eastern Conference, sitting at the very top of a play-in picture that sees all 4 of the play-in teams separated by 1 game. The Nets really do kind of need to win this game, and they've won their last 3, and they've won 6 of their last 10. They trail the Bulls by 2 games, so they can't even jump higher than 7, but I think they still want that home court advantage for both play-in games if it has to go to a second play-in game for them. The Pacers enter this matchup having lost their last 9 games. That is the longest active losing streak in the East, as they sit 11 games, or they are currently sitting 17 games behind the 10th place Charlotte Hornets. Taking a look at the second primetime matchup at 7 o'clock on TNT, the Memphis Grizzlies are going to host the Boston Celtics in FedEx Forum. The Grizzlies, the home team, enter this matchup holding the 2nd best record in the NBA. They've won 8 of their last 10, and there's nothing that they can do that's going to change them going into the playoffs with the 2nd seed. The Boston Celtics, however, enter this matchup tied with the Sixers for the 3rd best record in the East. The Celtics have won 7 of their last 10. They sit a game behind the 2nd place Milwaukee Bucks as well. So of course there's a lot at play for the Celtics, not as much for the Grizzlies. And then right after that, the last primetime game of the 2021-22 season, we'll see the New Orleans Pelicans host the Golden State Warriors in the Smoothie King Center. The Pelicans, the home team in this matchup, have won 6 of their last 10 as they sit 5 games behind the 8th place Clippers and 2 games ahead of the Spurs. There's nothing that they can do to change their seeding, as they will go into the play-in with the 9th seed. And the Golden State Warriors are holding the 3rd best record in the West. With 1 game left in their schedule, they are sitting sitting 4 games behind the second place Memphis Grizzlies, so they can't move up. But they're only sitting 1 game ahead of the Dallas Mavericks, as I imagine they would need all the wins they need to get in their season. But that is what the primetime games are looking like, as that's the last game for at least for TNT's sake before the play-in. And then looking at the games that aren't on primetime at 3:30, the Charlotte Hornets are going to host the Washington Wizards in the Spectrum Center for what's going to be Washington's last game of the season. At 3:30, the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to host the defending champs Milwaukee Bucks in Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. At the same time, the Houston Rockets are going to host the Atlanta Hawks in the Toyota Center for what's going to be Houston's last game of the season, as Houston is currently holding the worst record in the NBA. Taking a look at what's happening in Madison Square Garden, the New York Knicks are going to host the Toronto Raptors for the Knicks' final game of the season. At 7 o'clock, the Orlando Magic, the holders of the worst record in the East, are going to host the Miami Heat, the holders of the best record in the East, in Amway Center for what's going to be Orlando's final game of the year. At 7 o'clock, the Philadelphia 76ers are going to host the Detroit Pistons in Wells Fargo Center, as this should be Detroit's final game of the year. At 8:30 in Target Center, the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to host the Chicago Bulls. At 9:30, the Dallas Mavericks are going to host the San Antonio Spurs in American Airlines Center, as both these Texas teams are going on to the playoffs. At 9:30, the Denver Nuggets are going to host the Los Angeles Lakers in Ball Arena, as this is going to be the Lakers' last game of the season, and a loss here could result in them having a 50-loss season literally 2 years after they won the championship. At the same time, at 9:30, the LA Clippers are going to host the Oklahoma City Thunder in Crypto.com Arena, as this should be the Oklahoma City Thunder's final game of the year. At 9:30, the Western Conference and NBA leading Phoenix Suns are going to end their season hosting the Sacramento Kings. With a win or loss here, they still would finish with a single-digit amount of losses at home for the year, as this should be, like I said, Sacramento's last game of the year. And then at 9:30 in Moda Center, the Portland Trailblazers should see their season come to an end as they host the Utah Jazz. That is what the NBA is looking like, as we are in the very final day of the season. And once the season is over, I will, of course, come back with the end-of-season episodes tomorrow, in addition to what's going on with that. Taking a look at what's going on with the MLB, because we are jumping into a fresh MLB season. Starting off in Tampa Bay, the Rays would host the Baltimore Orioles from within their own division. The Rays would end up beating the Orioles 5-3 after scoring all 5 of their runs in the first 3 innings. After Baltimore would drop their deficit to within 1, it would be a Francisco Mejia 2-run home run that gave the Rays their big advantage here. On the losing end of this matchup, the Baltimore Orioles were led by their starting pitcher, Jordan Lyles. Jordan Lyles would pick up his first loss of the season, as he allowed 5 earned runs off of 7 hits in 5 innings. He walked 3 batters and struck out 2. With this loss, Jordan Lyles is 0-1. In the Orioles batting lineup, their first baseman, Ryan Mountcastle, went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. He hit his first home run of the season. Their left fielder, Anthony Santander, went 2 for 3. Their third baseman, Ramon Urias, went 2 for 4 with a run. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Tampa Bay Rays were led out by their starting pitcher, Drew Rasmussen. Rasmussen would allow 2 earned runs off of 3 hits in 4 innings pitched. He would walk a batter as he struck out 3. The win would go to the Rays' first relief pitcher on the day, Josh Fleming. He allowed no earned runs off of 3 hits as he pitched 3.1 innings, as he would get subbed out in the 8th. He would go on to strike out 5 batters in that frame, and with this win, he's now 1-0. The save for the Rays would go to their closer, Andrew Kittredge. Kittredge would allow 1 earned run in the 9th inning as he struck out 2. This will be his first save of the year. In the Rays batting lineup, their left fielder, Josh Lowe, would end up going 2 for 4 with 2 runs. Their catcher, Francisco Mejia, would go 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his first home run of the season. With this win, the Tampa Bay Rays are now 2-0. They are now tied with the New York Yankees and the Toronto Blue Jays for the best record in the American League East. They are sitting 2 games ahead of the Baltimore Orioles and the Boston Red Sox, who are sitting at the very bottom of the division at the moment, as the Orioles trail the Rays by 2, as they have an 0-2 record at the moment. Taking a look at what happened in Detroit, the Tigers hosted the Chicago White Sox. The White Sox would beat the Tigers 5-2. They would jump up to a 4-2 lead before the Tigers would score their 2 runs in the first place, thanks to a 2-run home run from Yasmani Grandal on the top of the 6th. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Detroit Tigers were led out by their starting pitcher Casey Mize. Mize would pick up the loss as he allowed 4 earned runs off of 7 hits in 5 innings. He would strike out 2 batters on the day. With this loss, Casey Mize is 0-1. In Detroit's batting lineup, their left fielder Austin Meadows would go 2 for 4 with a run. Their elite shortstop Javi Baez would go 2 for 4 as well. And then on the winning end of this matchup, the Chicago White Sox were led out by their starting pitcher Dylan Cease. He would go on and pick up his first win of the season as he allowed 1 earned run off of 2 hits in 5 innings as he walked 3 batters and struck out 8. The save would go to the White Sox closer for the day, Aaron Bummer. He allowed no earned runs and 2 hits in the 9th inning as he struck out all 3 of the batters that he would need to get out. And with his first save of the season, the White Sox picked up their first win. In their batting lineup, their center fielder, Luis Robert, went 2 for 4 with a run. Their elite first baseman and former MVP, Jose Abreu, went 2 for 4 with 2 runs. Also in addition to them, Chicago's second baseman, Josh Harrison, would end up going 2 for 4 with a run. With this win, the Chicago White Sox and the Detroit Tigers are both 1-1. They are both tied for the second best record in the American League Central Division, as they both sit a full game behind the division leading Kansas City Royals. Jumping out to Minneapolis, the Minnesota Twins hosted the Seattle Mariners. The Mariners would beat the Twins 4-3. They would go on to take the lead in the top of the 9th after the Twins scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 8th. Byron Buxton's 2-run home run would actually put them in the lead going into the 9th. Adam Frazier's double would tie the game in the top of the 9th, but then it would be Ty France's RBI single that put the Mariners ahead. On the losing end of this matchup, the Minnesota Twins were led out by their starting pitcher, Sonny Gray. Gray would allow 2 earned runs off of 4 hits as he pitched 4.2 innings. He would walk 2 batters and strike out 4. The blown save and the loss will go to the Twins closer, Tyler Duffy. He allowed 2 earned runs on 3 hits in the 9th inning as he struck out 1 batter. With this loss, he's 0-1. In the Twins batting lineup, nobody on the team would finish with more than 1 hit. However, their center fielder Byron Buxton and their third baseman Luis Arraez would hit their first home runs of the season. On the winning end of this matchup, the Seattle Mariners were led out by their starting pitcher Logan Gilbert. He allowed 1 earned run off of 3 hits in 5 innings. He would walk a batter as he struck out 7 as well. The win would go to the Seattle Mariners setup relief pitcher Andres Munoz. Munoz would allow 2 earned runs off of 1 hit in the 8th inning as he would walk a batter and strike out 2. With this win, he's now 1-0. The save would go to the Mariners closer, Diego Castillo. He allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out 2 batters. This will be his first save of the year. In the Mariners batting lineup, their third baseman, Ty France, would end up going 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs. Their shortstop, J.P. Crawford, would go 2 for 4. Their catcher, Todd Murphy, would go 2 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs as Murphy hit his first home run of the season. With this win, the Seattle Mariners are 2-0. That is the best record in the American League West. At the moment, they are sitting half a game ahead of the defending American League champs, Houston Astros, at the moment. With this loss, the Minnesota Twins are 0-2. They are tied with the Cleveland Guardians for the worst record in the American League Central, as they trail the division-leading Kansas City Royals by 2 whole games with 160 games left in their schedule if the season hasn't been shortened. Taking a look at what happened in St. Louis, the St. Louis Cardinals would host the Pittsburgh Pirates from within the National League Central. The Cardinals would beat the Pirates 6-2. They would win this game by 4 after scoring 3 runs in the 3rd inning after take the lead for good. After Paul DeJong would hit a 2-run home run in the bottom of the 3rd. On the losing end of this matchup, the Pittsburgh Pirates were led out by their starting pitcher, Mitch Keller. Mitch Keller would pick up the loss as he allowed 4 earned runs and 6 hits in 4 innings pitched. He would walk 2 batters and strike out 4. With this loss, Mitch Keller is 0-1. In the Pirates batting lineup, their third baseman, Ke'Bryan Hayes, would go 2 for 4 with a run. Their first baseman, Yoshi Tsutsugo, will go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. And on the winning end of this matchup, the St. Louis Cardinals were led out by their starting pitcher, Miles Mikolas. Mikolas allowed 2 earned runs and 6 hits as he would get pulled in the 4th inning. He would walk 2 batters as he would strike out as he would get 1 strikeout for himself. The win for the Cardinals went to their first relief pitcher, Cody Whitley. He would pitch 1.1 innings, and he would finish the 4th and pitch the entire 5th inning as he allowed no earned runs and even walked a batter. With this win, he's 1-0. In the Cardinals batting lineup, their elite third baseman, Nolan Arenado, would go 4 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs as he had his first 3 doubles of the season yesterday. He was the only player on the Cardinals that had more than 1 hit for himself. With this win, the St. Louis Cardinals are now 2-0. That is the best record in the National League Central as they are tied with the Chicago Cubs. They both sit a game and a half ahead of the third place Cincinnati Reds. With this loss, the Pittsburgh Pirates are 0-2. That is the worst record in the National League Central as they are tied with the Brewers at the bottom of the division. They both sit 2 games behind the Chicago Cubs and the St. Louis Cardinals. Speaking of the Chicago Cubs, the Cubs would host the Milwaukee Brewers. The Cubs would beat the Brewers 9-0, shut them out, and score 7 of their 9 runs in the first 4 innings. On the losing end of this matchup, the Brewers were led by their former All-Star pitcher, Brandon Woodruff. He allowed 7 earned runs off of 6 hits in 3.2 innings pitched. He would walk 3 batters and strike out 2 before getting pulled in the 4th inning, and with this loss, he's 0-1 on the season. In the Brewers batting lineup, nobody on the team would finish with more than 1 hit, and that would be attributed to great pitching from Chicago. The win for the Cubs would go to Justin Steele. Justin Steele would allow no earned runs and 4 hits in 5 innings as he would only walk 1 batter. He would strike out 5 batters in this 5-inning stretch, and with this win, he's 1-0 for Chicago. In the Cubs batting lineup, their left fielder Ian Happ would go 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 3 runs. Their first baseman Frank Schwindel will go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run as well. With this win, the Chicago Cubs are 2-0. They are tied with the St. Louis Cardinals for the best record in the National League Central as they both sit a game and a half ahead of the Cincinnati Reds, who are holding the 3rd best record in the division. With this loss, the Milwaukee Brewers are 0-2. That is the worst record in the National League Central. They sit alongside the Pittsburgh Pirates. They sit 2 whole games behind the Chicago Cubs and the St. Louis Cardinals at the top of that division. Taking a look now at what happened in Toronto, the Blue Jays hosted the Texas Rangers. The Rangers would fall just short as the Blue Jays beat them 4-3. The Rangers would score all 3 of their runs in the 3rd inning before the Blue Jays would tie it in the 5th inning off of a solo home run from Bo Bichette, and it would be an RBI double from Santiago Espinal to give the Blue Jays the win. On the losing end of this matchup, the Texas Rangers were led out by their starting pitcher, Dane Dunning. He would allow 3 earned runs and 5 hits in 5 innings pitched. He would walk 2 batters and strike out 4. He would not get the decision. The loss would go to the Rangers' first relief pitcher, Brett Martin. He would allow 1 earned run as he would get pulled in the 6th inning. He would strike out a batter in that span, and with this loss, he's 0-1. In the Rangers batting lineup, their elite shortstop, Corey Seager, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI. Their first baseman, Nate Lau, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI. On the winning end of this matchup, the Toronto Blue Jays were led out by their starting pitcher, Kevin Gausman. He allowed 3 earned runs off of 8 hits and 5 innings pitched as he struck out 5. The win would go to the Blue Jays' first relief pitcher, Trevor Richards. Trevor Richards would allow no earned runs off of 1 hit in the 6th inning as he would strike out 1 batter. With this win, he's now 1-0, and the save would go to the Blue Jays closer, Jordan Romano. Romano would allow no earned runs in the 9th inning. This is his 2nd save of the year. In the Blue Jays batting lineup, their center fielder, George Springer, went 2 for 5 with a run. Their elite shortstop Bo Bichette went 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. As his home run tied the game, that would be his first home run of the season. The Blue Jays elite first baseman Vladimir Guerrero Jr. went 2 for 4 with an RBI. And then their catcher Alejandro Kirk would go 2 for 4 for the day. With this win, the Toronto Blue Jays are 2-0. That is the best record in the American League East, as they are tied with the New York Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays for the best record in the division. They sit 2 games ahead of the Baltimore Orioles and the Boston Red Sox, who are tied for the worst record in the division. With this loss, the Texas Rangers are now 0-2. They are tied with the Oakland Athletics for the worst record in the American League West. At the moment, they are sitting 2 games behind the division-leading Seattle Mariners. So taking a look at what happened in Philadelphia, the Phillies hosted the Oakland Athletics. Philadelphia would beat Oakland 4-2, as they would score all 4 of their runs before Oakland would score their 2. On the losing end of this matchup, the Athletics were led out in pitching by Cole Irvin. Irvin would pick up his first loss of the season. He allowed 4 earned runs off of 7 hits in 5.1 innings pitched. He would walk a batter as he would strike out 4. With this loss, Irvin is 0-1 on the year. In the Athletics batting lineup, their designated hitter Jed Lowry went 2 for 4 with an RBI. And then their right fielder Stephen Piscotty would end up going 2 for 3 with an RBI. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Philadelphia Phillies were led out by their starting pitcher Kyle Gibson, who picked up his first win of the season. Gibson would allow no earned runs and only 2 hits as he pitched 7 innings, and he would strike out 10 on the day. With this win, he's now 1-0 on the season. The save for the Phillies would go to their closer for the day, Corey Knebel. He allowed 1 run in the 9th inning as he would strike out a batter and even walk 1. In the Phillies batting lineup, their first baseman Rhys Hoskins would go 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run as he hit his first home run of the season. Their elite designated hitter Nick Castellanos would go 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his first home run of the season as well. Their second baseman Jean Segura will go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run as Jean Segura hit his first home run of the season yesterday as well. Their third baseman, who's no longer a rookie, Alec Bohm, went 2 for 2 with a walk. And with this win, the Philadelphia Phillies are 2-0. That is the second best record in the National League East. They are currently sitting half a game behind the division-leading New York Mets, who are 3-0 at the moment. With this loss, the Oakland Athletics are 0-2. That is the worst record in the American League West, as they are tied with the Rangers for the worst record in their division. Overall, they are trailing the division-leading Seattle Mariners by 2 games at the moment. Taking a look at what happened in the Bay Area, the San Francisco Giants, the other team that represents the Bay Area, would host the Miami Marlins, and the Marlins would end up beating the Giants 2-1. The game was tied at 1. The Marlins would break the tie in the 7th off of a RBI single from Jesus Sanchez. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown San Francisco Giants were led out by their starting pitcher Carlos Rodon. Rodon would allow 1 earned run off of 3 hits in 5 innings pitched. He would walk 2 batters and he would strike out 12 on the day. The loss for the Giants would go to their second relief pitcher, Jake McGee. McGee allowed 1 earned run as he would end up getting pulled in the 7th inning. With this loss, he's 0-1. In the Giants batting lineup, nobody on the team would finish with more than 1 hit. And the only run would go to Thairo Estrada, their second baseman. That would be attributed to the great pitching from Miami. Miami would be led out by their starting pitcher, Pablo Lopez. He allowed 1 earned run off of 3 hits in 5 innings. He would strike out 6 batters on the day. The win for Miami would go to their first relief pitcher, Steven Okert. Okert allowed no earned runs as he would get pulled in the 7th inning, as he would strike out all 4 of the outs that he would register would be strikeouts. With this win, he's 1-0. The save for Miami would go for their closer, Anthony Bender. Bender would allow no earned runs in the 9th inning as he allowed a hit. This would be his first save of the year. No one on the Marlins would finish with more than 1 hit either. As the lone RBI for the day went to Jesus Sanchez, their center fielder, who went 1 for 4. who also struck out 3 times. With this win, the Miami Marlins are 1-1. That is the 4th best record in the National League East, as they trailed the division-leading New York Mets by a game and a half. With this loss, the San Francisco Giants are 1-1. They are tied with the Colorado Rockies and the Los Angeles Dodgers for the 2nd best record in the National League West. They all sit half a game behind the division-leading San Diego Padres. Taking a look at what happened in Yankee Stadium, the New York Yankees hosted the Boston Red Sox. The Yankees would go on to beat the Red Sox 4-2. As the game was tied up, the Red Sox actually took a 2-0 lead. The Yankees would tie it with a 2-run home run from Anthony Rizzo in the bottom of the 4th. And as the game was tied, it would be a 2-run home run from Giancarlo Stanton to give the Yankees their 2nd win. On the losing end of this matchup, the Boston Red Sox were led out by their starting pitcher, Nick Pivetta. Pivetta would pick up his first loss of the year as he allowed 4 earned runs off of 4 hits and 5.2 innings. He would walk 3 batters and strike out 4 before getting pulled in the 6th inning. With this loss, he's 0-1. In the Red Sox batting lineup, the only player to finish with more than 1 hit was their left fielder, Alex Verdugo, from the Dodgers. He went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his first home run of the season. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown New York Yankees were led out by their starting pitcher for the day, Luis Severino. Severino allowed 2 earned runs off of 5 hits in 3 innings. He would strike out 5 on the day. The win went to the Yankees' 3rd relief pitcher, Lucas Luetge. Luetge allowed no earned runs in the 6th inning as he struck out 2. With this win, he's now 1-0. The save would go to the Yankees' elite closer, Aroldis Chapman. Aroldis Chapman would allow no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out a batter. He picked up his first save of the season. In the Yankees' batting lineup, nobody on the team would finish with more than 1 hit. However, their elite right fielder, Giancarlo Stanton, would go 1 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run. He hit his 2nd home run of the season, just like Anthony Rizzo. With this win, the New York Yankees are 2-0. They are tied with the Tampa Bay Rays and the Toronto Blue Jays for the best record in the American League East. The Kansas City Royals and the Seattle Mariners are the only other teams in the American League that are 2-0 so far. And right now, the Yankees, Rays, and Blue Jays are all sitting 2 games ahead of the Baltimore Orioles and the Boston Red Sox, who are tied for the worst record in their division, as that's where the Red Sox sit with this loss at 0-2 right next to the Orioles. Taking a look at what happened in Kansas City, the Royals would host the Cleveland Guardians. This game would end up as a 1-0 win for Kansas City, as their lone run came off of a walk-off RBI single from Adalberto Mondesi in the 10th inning. On the losing end of this matchup, the Cleveland Guardians were led by their starting pitcher, Zach Plesac. Plesac allowed no earned runs off of 3 hits as he pitched 5.2 innings. He would strike out 3 batters on the day. The loss would go to Cleveland's closer, Emmanuel Clase. He would go on to finish with no earned runs as he would not even register an out. With this loss, he's 0-1. In the Kansas City Royals... in the Guardians batting lineup, before I move on, the only player to finish with more than 1 hit for Cleveland was Stephen Kwan, their left fielder. He went 2 for 3 on the day. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Kansas City Royals were led out by their starting pitcher, Brad Keller. He allowed no earned runs off of 2 hits in 6 innings. He would allow no walks as he struck out 5 batters. The win would go to the Royals closer for the day, Colin Snyder. Snyder would allow no earned runs in the 10th inning as he would strike out a batter. With this win, he's now 1-0. The only Royals player with more than 1 hit was their left fielder, Andrew Benintendi. He went 3 for 4 for the day. With this win, the Kansas City Royals are 2-0. That is the best record in the American League Central. They sit 1 game ahead of the Chicago White Sox and the Detroit Tigers, who are tied for the 2nd best record in the division. With this loss, the Cleveland Guardians are 0-2. They are tied with the Minnesota Twins for the worst record in the American League Central, as they both sit 2 games behind the division-leading Kansas City Royals. Taking a look at what happened in our nation's capital, the Washington Nationals hosted the New York Mets. The Mets would beat the Nationals 5-0 to be the first team in the MLB with 3 wins. The Nats would score 4 of their 5 runs in the 5th inning thanks to a grand slam from their elite first baseman, Pete Alonso. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Washington Nationals were led out by their starting pitcher, Joan Adon. Adon would allow 4 earned runs off of 4 hits and 4 innings pitched, as he would walk 4 and strike out 3. With this loss, he is now 0-1. In the Nats batting lineup, the only player with more than 1 hit was their elite right fielder Juan Soto. He went 2 for 4. On the winning end of this matchup, the New York Mets were led out by their starting pitcher Chris Bassitt, the former A's pitcher. He would allow no earned runs off of 3 hits as he pitched 6 innings. He would allow 1 walk and he would strike out 8 on the day. With this win, Bassitt is 1-0. In the Mets batting lineup, their center fielder Brandon Nimmo went 2 for 4 with 2 runs. Their left fielder Travis Jankowski would end up going 2 for 3 on the day. Their elite designated hitter Pete Alonso would go 1 for 5 with 4 RBIs and a run. Of course, with this win, with this home run, that would be Pete Alonso's first of the season. With this win, the New York Mets are 3-0. That is the best record in the National League East. They sit half a game ahead of the Philadelphia Phillies, who have the second best record in the division. With this loss, the Washington Nationals are 0-3. They're the first team in the MLB with 3 losses, of course, so they have the worst record in the MLB. They sit 3 whole games behind the division-leading New York Mets. Taking a look at what happened in Atlanta, staying within that division, the Atlanta Braves, the defending World Series champs, would host the Cincinnati Reds. The Braves would beat the Reds 2-1 as both of their runs were scored in the first inning off of a Marcell Ozuna RBI double and an Ozzie Albies sacrifice fly. On the losing end of this matchup, the Cincinnati Reds were led by their starting pitcher, Vladimir Gutierrez. He would pick up his very first loss of the season. He allowed 2 earned runs off of 6 hits and 4.1 innings. He would walk 2 batters and he would strike out 4 on the day. With this loss, he's now 0-1 on the year. In the Reds batting lineup, nobody on the team would finish with more than 1 hit. Joey Votto finished with the team's lone RBI. And, of course, this would be attributed to great pitching on the Braves' part. The win would go to the Braves starting pitcher, Kyle Wright. Kyle Wright would allow no earned runs off of 2 hits as he pitched 6 innings. He would walk a batter and he would strike out 6 on the day. With this win, Kyle Wright is 1-0 on the year. The save would go to the Braves closer, Will Smith. Smith would allow 1 earned run off of and 1 hit in the 9th inning as he struck out a batter on the day. This would be Will Smith's first save of the season. In the Braves batting lineup, their first baseman, Matt Olson, went 2 for 3 with a run. Their left fielder, Marcell Ozuna, went 3 for 4 with an RBI as well. With this win, the defending champs Atlanta Braves are now 2-1. That is the 3rd best record in the National League East, as they sit a full game behind the division-leading New York Mets. With this loss, the Cincinnati Reds are 1-2. That is the 3rd best record in the National League Central. They sit a game and a half behind the division-leading Chicago Cubs and St. Louis Cardinals at this moment. Taking a look at what happened in the Mile High City, the Colorado Rockies would host the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Rockies would go on to beat the Dodgers 3-2. They would win this game by 1 as the Dodgers tied the game up at 2 in the 8th. The Rockies would see Connor Joe hit the go-ahead home run to give them the advantage in the win. On the losing end of this matchup, the Los Angeles Dodgers were led by their starting pitcher, Tony Gonsolin. He allowed 1 earned run off of 5 hits as he did all this in the 3 innings that he pitched. He would allow a walk as he struck out 3 batters on the day. The loss would go to the Dodgers closer, Blake Treinen. Treinen allowed 1 earned run in the 8th inning as he would strike out 3. With this loss, Treinen is 0-1 on the year. In the Dodgers batting lineup, the only player with more than 1 hit was their catcher, Austin Barnes. Barnes went 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run as he hit his first home run of the season. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Colorado Rockies were led out by their starting pitcher, German Marquez. He allowed 1 earned run off of 3 hits in the 7 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 5 batters on the day. The Rockies' their setup relief pitcher, Carlos Estevez, would pick up the win. He allowed no earned runs as he finished off the 8th. With this win, he's now 1-0. The save for the Rockies would go to their closer, Daniel Bard. Bard would allow no earned runs in the 9th inning as all of his outs were strikeouts. This would be his first save of the year. In the Rockies batting lineup, their third baseman, Ryan McMahon would go 2 for 4 with an RBI. Their first baseman, Connor Joe, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. As Connor Joe hit his first home run of the season. With this win, the Colorado Rockies are 1-1, just like the LA Dodgers. They are tied with the San Francisco Giants for the second best record in the National League West. All three of these teams sit half a game behind the division-leading San Diego Padres. Taking a look at what happened in Phoenix, the Arizona Diamondbacks would host the San Diego Padres. The Padres would beat the Diamondbacks 5-2. The score was tied at 2 going into the 8th inning. Padres would take the lead off of an RBI single from Eric Hosmer, and the rest would be history. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Arizona Diamondbacks were led by their starting pitcher, Zach Davies. Davies allowed 2 earned runs off of 4 hits in the 5 innings that he pitched. He would walk 3 batters and strike out 2. The loss would go to the Diamondbacks setup relief pitcher, Ian Kennedy. He would allow 2 earned runs in the 8th inning as he would walk a batter. With this loss, he's now 0-1. In the Diamondbacks batting lineup, their left fielder David Peralta would be the only player on the team with more than 1 hit for the day. He went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his first home run of the year and his first double for that matter. On the winning end of this matchup, the San Diego Padres were led out by their starting pitcher Joe Musgrove. Musgrove allowed 2 earned runs off of 5 hits in the 6 innings that he pitched, as he would strike out 8 batters on the day. The win for the Padres went to their first relief pitcher, Steven Wilson. Steven Wilson would allow no earned runs in the 7th inning as he walked and struck out a batter. With this win, he's now 1-0. The save for the Padres would go to their closer, Taylor Rogers. Rogers allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning, and with this save, he now has 2 on the year. In the Padres batting lineup, their elite third baseman, Manny Machado, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. Their first baseman, Eric Hosmer, would go 2 for 4 as he had an RBI for himself. With this win, the San Diego Padres are now 2-1. That is the best record in the National League West. They sit half a game ahead of the 3-way tie of the Colorado Rockies, the LA Dodgers, and the San Francisco Giants for the second best record in the division. With this loss, the Arizona Diamondbacks are now 1-2. That is the worst record in the National League West. They are currently sitting 1 game behind the San Diego Padres at the moment. And taking a look at what happened in Anaheim, the Los Angeles Angels hosted the Houston Astros. The Angels would end up beating the Astros 2-0. They held the Astros to only 2 hits all game as both of the Angels' runs came off of home runs. On the losing end of this matchup, the Houston Astros were led out by their goated starting pitcher and 2-time Cy Young winner Justin Verlander. He would allow 1 earned run off of 3 hits as he pitched 5 innings. He would walk 3 batters and strike out 7 in that 5-inning span. And with this loss, Justin Verlander is 0-1 on the year. Nobody on the Astros had finished with more than 1 hit, and now be attributed to great pitching from the Angels. The win would go to their starting pitcher, Noah Syndergaard. He allowed no earned runs in 2 hits in 5.1 innings pitched. He would walk 2 batters and only strike out 1 batter on the day. With this win, Noah Syndergaard is 1-0. The save would go to the Angels closer, Raisel Iglesias. He would allow no earned runs in the 9th inning as he would go on to strike out 1 batter on the day. This would be his very first save of the year. In the Angels batting lineup, their goated center fielder Mike Trout will go 1 for 4 with an RBI and a run as Mike Trout hit his first home run of the season. Their first baseman Jared Walsh went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. He was the only player on the Angels in this game with more than 1 hit as he hit his first home run of the season as well. With this win, the Los Angeles Angels are 1-2. That is the 3rd best record in the American League West. They are trailing the division-leading Seattle Mariners by 1.5 games. With this loss, the defending American League champs, Houston Astros, are 2-1. That is the 2nd best record in their division as they sit half a game behind the American League West leading Seattle Mariners as the Astros have 159 games left in their 2022 season. That is what the MLB is looking like as we are previewing what's going on today at the moment. It looks as though there are not going to be any prime, or actually no, the only primetime game today is going to be at 7 o'clock in Yankee Stadium, as the 2-0 New York Yankees are going to host the 0-2 Boston Red Sox. Jordan Montgomery is going to make the start for the New York Yankees, and Tanner Houck is going to make the start for the Boston Red Sox. Looking at the baseball games that aren't going to be on prime time, at 1:05, Zach Eflin and the Philadelphia Phillies are going to host Dalton Jeffries and the Oakland Athletics. Corey Kluber and the Tampa Bay Rays are going to host Tyler Wells and the Baltimore Orioles at 1:10. At the same time, at 1:10 in Comerica Park in Detroit, Tariq Skubal and the Detroit Tigers are going to host Michael Kopech and the Chicago White Sox. At 1:30 on ESPN+, Ian Anderson and the defending champs Atlanta Braves are going to host Hunter Green and the Cincinnati Reds, as Hunter Green makes his MLB debut out of Notre Dame High School. Congrats all the way out from the Valley. And at 1:37, Hyunjin Ryu, the Blue Jays' elite starting pitcher, will see them face off against the 0-2 Rangers, led by Spencer Howard. At 2:10 in Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City, Chris Bubich and the Kansas City Royals are going to host Cal Quantrill and the Cleveland Guardians. I'm sorry, that fixed what I said. But at 2:10, at Target Field, the Bailey Ober and the Minnesota Twins are going to host Marco Gonzalez and the Seattle Mariners. At 2:15 in Busch Stadium, Steven Matz and the St. Louis Cardinals are going to host Bryce Wilson and the Pittsburgh Pirates. At 2:20, Marcus Stroman and the Chicago Cubs are going to host Freddie Peralta and the Milwaukee Brewers in Wrigley Field. At 3:10, Antonio Senzatella and the Colorado Rockies are going to host Julio Urias and the Los Angeles Dodgers. At 4:05, Anthony DeSclafani and the San Francisco Giants are going to host Trevor Rogers and the Miami Marlins. At 4:07, Jose Suarez and the Los Angeles Angels are going to host Jose Urquidy and the Houston Astros. At 4:10, Caleb Smith and the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to host the San Diego Padres, led by their elite pitcher Blake Snell. That's what baseball is going to be looking like today. As we leave the North American continent, I'm just taking a quick look at what happened with soccer, as we are in the midst of another weekend of high level soccer. Starting off first in the Premier League, Chelsea was able to beat Southampton 6-0. They would see a brace from Mason Mount and Timo Werner, and they would see a goal from their elite German midfielder Kai Havertz in the 31st minute. With this win, Chelsea is currently sitting third in the Premier League. They sit 10 points behind second place Liverpool and 11 points behind first place Man City at the moment. So that's where they sit. The fourth best team in the Premier League, Tottenham, was able to beat Aston Villa 4-0. They would see a hat trick from their elite Korean forward Son Heung-min. And of course, with this win, Tottenham now holds the fourth best record in the Prem. They are sitting 5 points behind third place Chelsea, as they've played one more game than Chelsea. They also sit 3 points ahead of fifth place Arsenal, as they've played one more game than Arsenal. Arsenal fell short to Brighton and Hove Albion, as with this loss, Arsenal is also sitting 1 point ahead, or one win or 3 points ahead of sixth place West Ham. But that was a big loss for Arsenal that they actually did not need, as their lone goal came from Odegaard. And then Manchester United would end up losing to Everton 1-0, as with this loss, they are sitting even with West Ham. And because they are down on goal differential, they are holding the seventh best record in the Prem, sitting outside of Europa League even. Taking a look at what happened as we move up the European subcontinent. Moving to Spain, the top team in La Liga, Real Madrid, would end up beating Getafe 2-0. Their goal in the first half will come from Casemiro, and the goal in the second half will come from Lucas Vazquez. With this win, Real Madrid is currently sitting 12 points ahead of second place Sevilla, as they look to run away with the La Liga title at this moment. And then, of course, taking a look at what is going on with the other Madrid team, Atletico Madrid would lose to Mallorca. Mallorca's lone goal came off of a penalty. With this loss, they are sitting even with Barcelona, with 2 more games played than Barcelona. They sit 3 points behind second place Sevilla, to see where Atletico Madrid is, as they're still trying to hold on to a Champions League spot barely. With a win, Betis is now only 1 point behind Atletico Madrid in the table. Taking a look at what happened in France, the French leaders PSG were able to beat Clermont Foot 6-1. They would see a hat trick from their elite Brazilian forward Neymar, and they would see a hat trick from their elite French forward Kylian Mbappe. They would see a hat trick of assists from their goated Argentinian forward Lionel Messi. With this win, PSG is sitting 15 points ahead of second place Stade Rennes, as they are, I think with one more win, they should, or I guess, with a couple more wins, they should be closer to locking up the Ligue 1, as it looks as though they're going to run away with it. Taking a look at what's happening in Italy, the top team that played yesterday was Inter Milan. They would beat Hellas Verona 2-0, as both of their goals came in the first half from Nico Barella and Edin Dzeko. With this win, they are sitting with the second best record in Serie A, tied with Napoli. They sit 1 point behind They sit 1 point behind AC Milan, as only 1 point separates the top three teams in Serie A. And sitting just right outside there is fourth place Juventus. They were able to beat Cagliari 2-0, as both of their goals, or I guess both their goals came after Cagliari's lone goal. Their first goal would come from their defender, Matthijs de Ligt, their elite Dutch defender. Their second would come from their newest attacker, Serie A up-and-comer Dusan Vlahovic, in the 75th minute. So with this win, Juve is now sitting fourth in Serie A, as they sit 4 points behind Inter and Napoli, the two-way tie for second place, as they've played one more game than those teams. But Juve is still pretty much in the hunt, as it looks as though they're going to lock up a Champions League spot for themselves. They sit 8 points ahead of fifth place Roma for right now. And then last but not least, jumping into Germany, the reigning Bundesliga champs, Bayern Munich, were able to beat FC Augsburg 1-0, as their lone goal came from a penalty kick from their goated Polish striker, Robert Lewandowski. With this win, they now sit 9 points ahead of second place Borussia Dortmund, as there's about 5 matchups left in this German calendar. And then, of course, those are the big matchups from yesterday. Taking a look at what is going on today, of course, because today is Sunday, we got to jump at this from country by country. Starting, of course, with the English Isle, looking at the Premier League. Manchester City is going to be hosting Liverpool at 11:30. The only 1 point separates these two teams. A draw would see Manchester City walk away as the top team in the Prem. A win from either team would see the winner walk away as the outright leader. Right now, Man City is sitting 1 point over Liverpool, as Liverpool sits 4 points ahead of third place Chelsea. That's going to be a very big game to determine the fate of this Premier League title race. That's the big game in England. Taking a look at what's going on in Spain, Barcelona is going to face off against Levante, as Barcelona has been one of the hottest teams in Spain. They're sitting 3 points behind second place Sevilla, with 2 less games played than Sevilla, with 2 games in hand. A win would do a lot for them, as they're facing off against Levante. Levante enters this matchup as the second worst, or I guess they're tied for the worst overall record in Spain, as they have a slightly better goal differential than Alaves. So this is an opportunity for Barcelona to gain traction and at least even themselves up with Sevilla temporarily. Taking a look at what is going on in France, the reigning French champs Lille are going to face off against Angers at 9 o'clock today. Lille enters this matchup with the tie for the 6th best record in France, as they sit 4 points behind Strasbourg and Nice, as they can possibly see themselves jump ahead of Monaco temporarily for the 6th spot in France, as Monaco is going to face off against Troyes. It looks like Stade Rennais is not going to be facing off in their matchup, but Olympique Marseille is going to be facing off against Montpellier at 3 o'clock for an opportunity to jump Stade Rennes for that second spot in France. Taking a look now at what's happening in Italy, it looks as though Lazio is going to face off against Genoa at 6:30. Lazio, led by Ciro Immobile, is sitting 6th in Italy, as they sit 2 points behind 5th place Roma. Napoli, the third, or tied for the second best team in Italy, is going to host Fiorentina at 9 o'clock. Fiorentina enters this matchup with the 8th best record in Italy. A win or a draw would see Napoli temporarily move right back in front of Inter. And then the top team in Italy, AC Milan, is going to face off against Torino at 2:45. They sit only 1 point ahead of the two-way tie between Inter and Napoli. A win from Napoli and a draw from AC Milan could see Napoli temporarily take over the top, as AC Milan needs to win this game just as much as Napoli does. Taking a look at what is, of course, going on with, or I guess last but not least, taking a look at what is going on with the matchups in Germany. Now with this, at this moment, it looks as though Bayern Munich is going to virtually run away with the table. But Bayer Leverkusen is going to face off against VfL Bochum at 9:30, as Leverkusen holds the third best record in Germany. They sit 9 points behind second place Dortmund. Fourth place Leipzig is going to face off against TSG Hoffenheim at 1:30. Leipzig sits 3 points behind Leverkusen. Those are all of the soccer matchups that I have for you today, and that's everything that I have for you. I want to thank the ESPN, NBA, MLB, and FIFA websites for giving me all the facts and figures that I need. I, of course, want to apologize for all the names that I butchered. I eventually plan on getting them right. But with that said, I do want to thank everyone for listening to the entire hour of this episode, as we are venturing into a whole new MLB season and into the end of the NBA season. I want to thank everyone for listening. I do hope all is well. And once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are done, I'm going to catch you tomorrow on Monday, April 11th for another episode. So until then, thanks for listening. I hope all is well, and I will catch up with more tomorrow. Thanks for listening to my piece. I'll catch you with more tomorrow. This is The Elite. I'm James Sims, and thanks for listening to my piece. Peace out. I'll catch you with more tomorrow.